Today we are reacting to every level of wealth in
World is
13 minutes.
represented by these bubbles. If we resize them according to the population size, we get this picture. I'm going to
Okay.
rank them from poorest to richest and show you how people live around the world. We'll
Okay.
start with farmers
Let's see
living
it.
with less than $2 per day and climb all the way to
$2
Elon
per
Musk.
day?
And I'm gonna make a bet. You probably can't answer these two simple questions about the world.
Okay.
Fewer than 2% of my viewers got them right. Question 1. Where does the majority of the world population
India.
live? A. Low income, B. Middle income, or C. High income.
Majority of the
2.
population in the
Since year
world?
2000, has global
Low
wealth
income.
inequality A. increased, B. stayed the same, or C. decreased?
Decreased. AC.
Hold on to your answers, we'll come back to them.
Bro!
Inspired by the book Factfulness and lowest G.
Great book, I guess.
I'm gonna rank our countries starting at the bottom.
That was a fast sponsor.
According to the World Bank, the 10 countries with the lowest GDP per capita in the world are all African countries. The more the bubbles are to the left, the lower the GDP
Somalia.
per capita. And the country with the lowest GDP
Mozambique.
per capita is Burundi. Let's see how people live there.
180 a
The
day.
median wage in Burundi is
Wow.
$1.80 per day. Each woman has an average of around 5 children.
God
Child
damn,
mortality is
how?
high, and 5% of children don't make it to 5 years old. Families are large, and most of them depend on
Whoa.
agriculture to make a living. Most people live in rural areas, often in houses made with mud bricks. The Gapminder Foundation documented how families live around the world and made their footage freely available. This family with 1 woman and 4 children had a total income of 90 cents per day. They live in a house with no electricity. Light comes from fire, which they also use to cook. This family sleeps on a bed made of straw, and this is their toilet. To find water, they need to walk to natural sources and carry that water back home. Most families in Burundi live in extreme poverty, and that's also true for most people in these countries.
That's rough.
So far, our chart
Extremely
only includes
rough.
about 3.6% of the world population.
Okay.
I'm going to keep adding more countries until we get to about a quarter of the population. We get mostly African countries like Ethiopia and Nigeria, and Asian countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh. I'm going to pick Bangladesh and see how people live there.
Okay. Now we're on the higher end of the spectrum.
The median income in Bangladesh is $4.78 per day. Each woman has an average of 2.3 children. This family
I don't understand that. Why? Like the first one, they said they averaged like 4 children. Why? If you're so poor, why have so many kids? I don't get that. That makes no
has
sense
5
to me.
people, and they live in a house with a metal roof. They have beds. They have access to a pipe
They have
well, which
beds?
is how most people get their
Oh,
water in
pipe well,
Bangladesh.
nice. That's
They
like
have a
Daisy.
toilet and a place to wash their hands. They also have basic phones.
Okay.
Their
Way
house
better than
has
the last one.
electricity, like more than 99% of households. in
Way
Bangladesh.
better.
This might not sound like a big deal, but in Portugal, a high-income country in the country where I'm from, if we go back to 1970, only 64% of the population had access to electricity. Some people think that countries like Bangladesh will always stay poor, but the reality is that Bangladesh in some aspects is already more developed than the Portugal my parents grew up in. If we go back to our bubbles and add colors based on the income level according to the World Bank, we see that even though we're at the bottom 23% of the population, most countries in this chart are not considered low income. Bangladesh is considered medium income, or
What?
lower middle income to be precise. Most
How?
of the world population lives in middle income countries. A
To who?
question that only
To who? If you're watching this, would you consider Bangladesh a middle income country based on what he just told us? Genuinely. Who
27% of my audience got right. I
decided
also
that?
got it wrong. In 2000, 29% of people lived in extreme poverty. Nowadays, that percentage has fallen to less than a third. In a single
Okay.
generation, billions transitioned out of poverty. And while that was happening, another quiet transformation took place.
Bro, you're still
Millions of
poor.
people transitioned out of their poor problem-solving skills with Brilliant, the sponsor of this video. Brilliant,
Great
sir,
bro.
Can the QR code also get 20 to reach half of the world's population? We now see India and other countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Let's see how people live in Indonesia.
Huh? So 15,000
The
now?
median wage is around $6 per day, and
Okay.
women have on average around 2 children. Most families now live in urban areas, not rural. As countries
Nice.
develop, the population tends to migrate from the countryside into urban areas. This family of four lives in a house with a bathroom, a kitchen,
Okay.
bedrooms, and other amenities we didn't see in the previous income levels.
Yeah, they got laundry.
Motorbikes are a common means of transportation, and most people have access to internet and use smartphones. We're entering the richer half of the world.
I like that. Bro, that's not rich, gang. I'm sorry.
We now get mostly upper middle income countries from Latin America, Eastern Europe, Africa, and Asia, including China.
middle
Let's pick Brazil.
Okay. Sure. We'll call that upper middle income.
The median wage in Brazil is about $13 per day. And in Brazil, women have on average 1.6 children. For the first time, we get a fertility rate below the replacement
Nice.
level. Wealthier countries tend to have lower fertility rates. Although hunger
I
is still
wonder
a problem
why
in
that
Brazil,
is.
more people die from obesity
Is
than
that Ferrero
undernutrition.
Rocher?
As countries develop, the percentage of obese population also tends to increase. At this level of income, it's now common for people to have a car and a computer. Brazil is above the global average, but still far from the world's richest. If we add more bubbles, we start getting high-income countries.
Okay. Let me know where we at. High income countries.
We're now at 90% of
Give
the
me
world's
one.
population, and I'm gonna pick Spain.
You're gonna pick the highest one every time now, buddy?
The median income is $41 per day. In countries like Spain, most people live in good
How
quality.
is that high income? Genuinely. $41 per day. How is that high income?
Housing. They have access to decent healthcare, social security, and public facilities. At this
Okay.
tier, you also start getting the freedom to travel to almost everywhere. A Spanish
Nice.
citizen can travel to a total of 189 countries visit-free. For most of the world, that is not the case. If
That's
we look at the
valid.
passport index of every country, we see that lower income countries have a lower number of destinations they can visit without a visa. The freedom to travel the world depends on the income level of your country. Despite having good living standards compared to the rest
Well,
of the
that's
world,
probably not really based off the income. It's probably because lower income probably has higher crime rates, or they assume that if you're from a lower income place, you can't really like what's the word I'm looking for? Like you can't I wouldn't want to say fit in, but like they probably assume you're gonna commit a crime or do something bad. That's probably why. I mean, I'm not even gonna keep trying to talk on that.
many people in these countries haven't enjoyed the economic growth we got in countries like Bangladesh or Indonesia. I spoke with economist Branko Milanovic, one of the researchers behind the famous chart explaining this. It's called the elephant curve. On the x-axis, we have the income percentile of the global population. The chart
Yeah.
shows us how much income has grown across the population in the 20 years up to 2008. The people around the 50th percentile of income, mostly people in Asia, saw big gains. But then for the Western middle class, the curve flatlines.
People who are around the 75th, 80th percentile of the world income distribution, which means they are richer than the Chinese, had very slow growth, and in many cases actually growth of close to 0% per year over 20 years.
And meanwhile, the global top 1% captured a large share of the growth, riding the wave of globalization. In recent years, the curve becomes smoother, but the pattern still holds. Many in the West feel stuck, while much of Asia has moved up. Let's move higher. In the final 10% of the world's
There we go.
population, we find the wealthiest countries such as the US.
Why you pick the US here, but you pick the highest one
The
every other
median
time?
wage in the
Pick
US
Singapore.
is about $62 per day. Living standards
Okay,
are not
that's
super
still
different
not
from the
very
previous
good.
year, but people can afford more things here.
How?
Americans tend
How do you? When was this video made? May 23rd. Bro, that's a couple days ago. How? $60 a day? Are you working 8 hours? Like, I don't even know if you can find a job that'll pay you like less than like 12 if you try. Most people I know, they work at like fast food and they make like at least like 12 to 15. Most people probably make around 14 to 16. You're working 8 hours, you should be making over $100 a day. So how is it the median is $60? I don't understand that.
to have bigger houses, bigger cars, and they can buy more things in general. Most
Not with
Americans are quite rich.
$60 a day, you're not. You don't get this with $60 a day. As a matter of fact, you don't get any of the shit he's showing in the background with the median day per day cost, whatever the fuck he's been showing. Like the other one was like $40 a day, and like they have a normal house in Spain. $40 a day you're paying for all this. No, you're not. You're not paying for all this for $40 a day. That's not
Imagine
happening.
the world is represented by your house, your car, and the inequality within countries. These are quite rich compared to the rest of the world.
It is 11 to 12% of Americans who are in the global top 1%. And I think many of them don't realize that.
But this doesn't mean every American is
So
rich.
what?
So far,
You don't compete with the people you don't know across the world. You're competing with the people who are right next to you. So they don't, even if you told them that, they wouldn't give a shit. They would still feel broke because their neighbor drives a Range Rover.
Country averages. But inside each of these bubbles, there are both rich people and poor people. We need to look at the inequality within countries. The bubbles now show how much income the top 10% earn in each country. In the US, the top 10% get 47% of the income. The country with the highest income inequality is South Africa, where the top 10% get 65% of the income. And we're talking about income, which tells you how much money someone earns. But we should also look at the wealth, the
after
accumulated
tax
worth of everything you own. It includes your savings, but also your house, your car, and your investments, making it arguably a better indicator of inequality. If we switch the chart from income to wealth inequality, the gap becomes even bigger. South Africa also has the highest wealth inequality, with the top 10% holding almost 86% of the total wealth. On the other end, in the Netherlands, they own 45%. Wealth inequality within countries has generally increased in the last decades. Each country has a different trend, but in the US, the top 10% owns 71% of the wealth in 2021, more than 25 years earlier. This number also went up in all of the world's top 10 economies. This can have negative impacts, and several economists argue that the more unequal a society, the weaker its institutions become over time. The World Inequality Report argues that this was not inevitable, but a political choice. They argue that in the 80s,
it's like the New World Order, like you're gonna own nothing and be happy. It's because all the wealthy people are gonna own everything. You're not gonna own shit. You're gonna be renting for the rest of your life.
Like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher pushed a series of policies that made private wealth go up and public wealth go down. So their argument here is that if governments own less, then in theory they're less capable of tackling inequality. But from now on, we're not going to talk about countries anymore. We're entering global wealth tiers.
Okay.
If your wealth is at least $1 million, then you're part of the global 1%. This could mean having $1 million in your bank account or just owning an expensive house.
What's about the 0.1%?
There are 82
How much is
million
that?
people in this group, and they own 38% of the world's wealth.
10 million? 0.01%. Yeah, how much is this?
0.01%, you need a wealth of at least
21. This is where I want to be one day.
There are about 800,000 people in this group, and they own 11% of the world's wealth. It's estimated that private jets are used by about 0.003% of the population, which would be about 30% of this group. If your wealth is at least $1 billion, then you're considered a billionaire. There are roughly 3,000 billionaires in the world, and they own 3% of the world's wealth. Over the years, the wealth of global billionaires...
A B. Like, people don't realize how much more a B is than an M. It is so much. It is so much more. I don't remember exactly how it is, but like a million seconds is like 12 days or something, and like a billion is like 31 years or something like that. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of time. I mean, it's probably that's not accurate to what I just said. It's close to that though. Trust me.
Has gone up, and the same is true for the people in the previous tier. But one billionaire takes the #1 position on Forbes.
Shit. Yeah.
As of the making of this video,
this guy's
Elon Musk is the wealthiest
could have a T.
in the world.
This motherfucker could have a T.
$400 billion.
But by the time he's dead.
In 2020 and 2024, Elon Musk's wealth grew at an average rate of $1,300 per second.
What? Can I have some?
If Elon Musk saw a $100 bill on the floor, it would literally not be worth his time to pick it up. So now that we've reached the top, let's revisit question 2. Has global inequality gone up since 2000? Most of my audience said yes, and that makes sense. We've seen the rise of billionaires in the top 0.01% and increasing inequality within countries. But the answer, to my own surprise, is C. Global inequality has actually gone down. But how is that possible?
To be very sort of blunt, reducing inequality between Malawi and the UK is much more important than reducing inequality within the UK.
Although
Yeah, that's
inequality
what I'm
within
saying.
countries went up in many regions, the inequality between countries has gone down. The global top 10% now owns 74% of the wealth, which is less than before. And the bottom 50% own 2.1% of the wealth, which is
Nice.
not much, but still
We're getting
higher than in
somewhere, though.
2000. Developing countries are catching up. If we go back
But we
to
need the chart to go, instead of it going like this, slowly rising, but in a wave, we need to go like this. A fucking what's that called? Exponential curve.
1990, the bubble chart looked like this. Almost 40% of the world lived in low-income countries.
Yeah.
As the years passed, billions climbed out of poverty, and now most of the world lives in middle-income countries. This
Yeah,
doesn't mean
if
that
you
people
compare it to the whole world, though. It's like, yeah, if you're comparing the whole world, then I guess you could say it's middle
aren't
income.
struggling or that we shouldn't worry about rising inequality within countries,
But like, middle income for the whole world is not middle income in your country, because your country's economy is different.
personally, I also think it's important that we acknowledge the progress that has been made. Most people, myself included, fail these questions because we don't have an accurate picture of the world.
Yeah.
That's the video for today. Thank you for watching. This one took a bit longer with all the data animations.
Look at these
If
silly
you were able to get
Patreons.
both-
Are they actually all? Let's see if we see a girl in here. Maybe not.
questions of the survey correct without reading the book Factfulness.
But like,
I'm
they're all
curious about how
guys,
you
so
did.
I hope
If you
they're
like
all
stories
guys. If I was a patron and he put me as a guy and I was a girl, or a girl as you know, because I'm a guy, I would be pretty sad. Memeable data. W video. Enjoyable. I want to play some Resident Evil though. So let's stop wasting fucking time.